everybody? Welcome back to episode 19 of the Fantasy Cast. Familiar face has returned. Ty White is back from his brief little vacation. I hope you enjoyed that, Ty. First off, I want to give a big shout out to good friend Christian Hagath. Came on here for a couple episodes, did a tremendous job. He had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun working with him. So he'll probably stop by at least one more time before we're in the off season for sure. But Ty, tell us about your trip, man. How you doing?
I will tell you about that. And just before, I want to say, great job to especially Christian. Obviously, you always do a great job, but Christian was great. He did not fumble the bag, which was wonderful. I thought Christian did a great job on starts and sits. We'll get to that later. But thanks. Yeah, my trip was awesome. I headed down to Florida. We actually drove down, ended up driving back as well. It was really cool because I like traveling a lot, especially I like being on the road. I like staying in hotels. So we stopped they were in Kentucky. We also stayed in Georgia. We stayed in Atlanta and Macon, one way, the other way. And then we also stayed in Columbus. So, I mean, it was really cool. Florida was beautiful. I miss that weather now, being back home. Hopefully,
what's the temperature back in Toronto right now?
When we got back, it was minus 20-ish, around like that. Florida was almost 40 degrees warmer. Around there. So I mean, it was a bit harsh, but yeah, honestly, it was actually cold coming back up. Like when we got to Atlanta, it was -5. It was around
they've had a big cold spell in the I guess southern portion of the US.
Yeah, they call it hot. Yeah, it was not hot at all.
Well, Atlanta does get a little bit chillier. For our Canadian viewers, it does get as low as 5 Celsius.
Yeah, for sure.
Which isn't warm.
No.
But yeah.
Anyway. But compared to Canada, it's not half bad if that's your coldest weather. But yeah, anyways, It was wonderful. I appreciate that. How are you doing? I know you had a game today. How's your game today?
Yeah, it was I'm not really gonna go into too much with the game. It was tough. We lost 3-2. They scored with about 30 seconds left.
Those are the worst.
Make it 3-2. Yeah, it was tough. But we played a showcase last weekend. Mm-hmm. And we went 3-1 on that weekend. Played 4 games in 3 days, mm-hmm. 4 games in 3 days. Went 3-1, which is good. And yeah, we have now 4 more games till the end of the month. Now, we have the last weekend of January off, which is nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
We haven't had a few days. I mean, obviously we have Thanksgiving break and Christmas break and stuff, but actually in season we don't usually have consecutive days off. The weekend off will be really, really nice before going into the month of February, but can't look too far ahead because we got some games to
games to win, baby.
Exactly. Yeah. But obviously I'm rocking my Bills jersey. It's a big week, big week.
Huge
game. Bills are playing the Pats, and half of my teammates are Pats fans, and the head coach is a big Pats fan too.
That's the worst.
So yeah.
Hate Friday, those damn New Englanders.
On Friday, no, people from New England are fine.
They're good. They're bad. They're horrible sports fans.
I'm probably gonna wear this on Friday and take a lot of heat. But if the Bills pull out a win, it's gonna be so good.
I imagine you're gonna be showboating in front of everyone. But guess who's not wearing his Chargers jersey? Because
dude,
we didn't make the playoffs.
Dude, that was don't even get me started on that game. We were in a hotel at Boston Airport. My parents came down for a showcase. My housemate and I, Ben, we stayed together in a hotel all weekend, and then my parents got us an extra room. Then at the night after, we played, or the Sunday night, right? It was a Sunday night. So Sunday night we had our last game of the showcase Sunday at noon. So then we drove to the hotel, went out for dinner in Boston, and then got back, watched the Sunday nighter. We watched the whole thing, man.
Okay.
It was crazy.
Yeah, it was nice.
Crazy. We could not believe the amount of times the Chargers were literally have the knife to their throat pinned down, and Herbert somehow slings one for a 15-yard gain on 4th and 12. It's what's going on?
Yeah.
What is this? And then, miraculously tying it. They were last play of the fourth quarter. What was it? Mike Williams touchdown.
Yeah, yeah, it was
That that
not.
was that was insane.
Yeah.
And then the overtime was just weird.
Mhm.
The overtime was just really weird. And I will say this, Ty, in your defense, I don't know what your take on this is, but I didn't actually mind that timeout.
Mhm.
And I know this is a bit of a soft spot for sure. You're probably still a bit sour about it, but I actually didn't mind that timeout
Mhm.
because you can't read minds of the Raiders.
Yeah.
You don't like if you don't call that timeout, then they're just making it an easier field goal,
I honestly, I can.
right?
Yeah, I agree
Like,
with you, and I agreed. There are plenty of Chargers fans. Yeah, don't there are many Chargers fans, contrary to popular belief. There are Chargers fans, and a lot of Chargers fans say on like social media and stuff that they were pissed at Staley. Why the hell did you call a timeout? My like at the time,
It's
it
the
makes
heat of the
sense to
moment,
call a
man. It
timeout.
made it did make sense. It's just
Yeah.
too bad that the Raiders actually like that because here's the thing, like if so let's say hypothetically he doesn't call that timeout, they run it up the middle one more time. The Raiders take a timeout. Now the Chargers are mega screwed
Mhm.
because Daniel Carlson's going to kick like a 40-yarder instead of like a 55-yarder,
Mhm.
right? Like
And he's a great kicker. I mean, I don't like him, but
out of my fantasy team, man.
oh yeah, I
Holy
kind of felt like
smokes.
we were doomed on that final drive, regardless of the timeout or not. Because honestly, you play the game to win,
And
and
not
I
not
thought they were
making
gonna win.
yeah. Not making that stop when Jacobs went what was it, like 6 yards or something
Yeah.
like that through the hole. That was a bit of a killer there for the
Yeah.
defense.
Oh, for sure, and it's just
Yeah.
heartbreaking, especially because you did call that timeout to get a run defense in there, and you still let up an 8-yard run.
I know.
So
And it was
was
it, it it would have been so perfect too if the Raiders kneeled it out, because then the friggin' Steelers who were all celebrating in the room would have been
you're like Mike Tomlin
eliminated.
comes on the live
Dude,
video.
that
And,
would have been
yeah,
hilarious.
that would
Like
have
I
been
know,
so
like,
funny.
dude, our boy Chase Claypool, Canadian, love the guy.
Yeah.
But God, he does some stupid things on social media
Oh, yeah.
sometimes.
He posted "Thank you Jaguars." I mean, like
God, yeah. When
was
he was
ready to go to the
posting,
playoffs.
he was posting that, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
The Steelers are gonna get eliminated now.
Yeah, it would have been really funny, but I don't blame the Raiders going for the win, obviously. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Kicking a field goal. Like, the worst happened to get blocked.
Yeah.
But the chances of that are so small. And they're in the postseason. Congratulations. Derek Carr has been waiting 8 years.
Man, what
I
a
think he deserves
turnaround what a turnaround for the Raiders, though.
Yeah. After the Gruden
They came
and
a
Ruggs.
long way.
Yeah.
Aren't the Raiders the first team to make the playoffs after like a midseason coaching change or something? Or there was some stat like that.
Yeah, in NFL
Correct me
history,
if I'm
one.
wrong. Yeah.
No, you're right. But
Which I mean is unbelievable achievement.
Yeah, I mean, like, great job, Raiders. I think it'll be different next year as a Chargers fan.
Yeah.
But I'm so proud that we even came back in the first, like you said, like every fourth down. I was watching, I was like pulling out eyebrows, I was swearing at the TV. It was nuts, but it shows how good Herbert is. And that really excites me. It excites me that we have 75 million in cap space, which is the most in the NFL. I'm ready for next year. We still finished with a winning record. That's all that.
The Chargers can't go too crazy in free agency though, because they do still have to sign Herbie.
Oh yeah, you got it. Yeah, for sure. But one or two defensive pieces were nice. We got a good draft. I'm excited. But let's move on. That was a great opener. Talked about a lot right there.
Yeah. Well, also I want to mention something quick, because last week I had my best week without question, and probably one of the top weeks overall in our league.
Okay.
And it was wild. I put up 178 points.
Wow, that's a great week.
Which was really, really messed up.
Yeah.
My lowest output on my team was Zay Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And Zay Jones, if you are a listener of the Fantasy Cast, you know that we told you to pick up Zay Jones in the waiver wire. He had himself an okay game. Didn't do that well. Obviously, if it was a start or a sit, we would have been wrong on that one. Mm-hmm. But so I always do a thing where if I'm torn between two players, I flip a coin. And I flipped a coin between Russell Gage and Zay Jones. Zay Jones was tails, Russell Gage was heads, and it landed on tails. Well, did Russell Gage not put up 28 goddamn points against New Orleans? And I would have been at like close to 200.
Oh yeah. Hey, but still, you still had a great week. You got to.
I still had a great week, and I won myself 5th place. in the top half. Yeah, it is what it is. Whatever. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that because I was like following along and I was like, oh my God, like I'm putting up 160 points and I'm putting up like 100 and like 150 points and I still have the Sunday nighter. Like what?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nuts. But anyway, yeah,
That
what
is
an
crazy.
opening. We were just rapid fire on that opening there. Holy.
Yeah. That was
Yeah.
that was fantastic. And this
A lot to
episode's
catch
a
up
bit
on.
yeah, a lot to catch up on, of course, because I haven't been here for a couple of weeks. But we do have a very interesting episode. We're going to briefly touch on, fantasy football from the last week. And then we're going to go over just some general things about the year, some award winners. You'll see what that's like in a second. And then we talk about NFL playoffs because going forward, this is still a fantasy football podcast, but we're going to be talking about the NFL since fantasy football is over now. So let's get started. I'm excited.
Yeah, so we're going to revisit our starts and sits for the last time in the 2021 NFL season and fantasy football season, I should also add.
Yeah.
Overall, actually, I won't tell you our record. I'll just go right into it. For the starts, last week we told you to start Dawson Knox. He only put up 8.3 points. We got that wrong, unfortunately. We told you to start Antonio Gibson. And we said Antonio Gibson or his backup, which I'm blanking on his name right now.
J.D. McKissick.
No, McKissick was hurt.
Oh yeah, J.D. McKissick.
Yeah.
Is it Jared Patterson?
Yes, Jared Patterson. Jared Patterson did not play. Gibson did. So we told you to start one of those two guys if they're in. Antonio Gibson had a nice day for himself, put up 22.1. Yeah. We told you to start Amon-Ra St. Brown, and you may, and it is a bit of controversial one, excuse me, because we told you to start him in back-to-back weeks. But the dude was a friggin' stud down the stretch. He put up 26.1 points again.
That guy's a stud. He's had a great last half.
Like he might be on some like serious draft boards coming up.
Yeah.
Just based on the way he finished the season. Now it all depends on obviously the draft and free agency and all that fun stuff.
And things can only get better for Detroit at this point, and hopefully.
Yeah. Oh, that's the hope, obviously. But then again, it's Detroit.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, not expecting.
Yeah, we told you to start Taysom Hill. This was an unfortunate one for us because Taysom Hill got hurt at halftime. And at halftime, he had already had 10 points. And he was pretty well on track to cross that 15-point threshold, I believe.
That's like a half right, half wrong thing. But yeah.
But you know what? The output came out to only 10 points. It's below the 15-point threshold for quarterbacks. That we got that one wrong. We told you to start Devin Singletary, and Devin Singletary had a very nice day, and he's been really picking it up. I'm very, very, very excited about the Bills' run game heading into the playoffs, and specifically Devin Singletary because I remember I was talking to you about this like mid-season. Devin Singletary was on the waiver wire just sitting there, and I was like, I have a weird feeling about him, and you basically said like, do what you got to do, man. You do you. You're basically giving me one of those. And I was like, oh, geez. But Singletary, he worked out well and he put up 25.2 points. So I'm very happy about that.
Big time. Yeah. I mean, there's not many teams in the NFL that would just completely change their game plan and game scheme and the way they've been playing was so different before Devin Singletary started going off because they needed a run game, but they didn't know if Singletary was that guy. He never used to get touches in the 50, and now they're giving him the ball and he's doing very well. He's
looking like his 2019 self.
Yeah. So that was a very good call on your part.
Lon. Yeah. I give a lot of credit to Christian Haggith there. So 3 for 5 on starts. Sits. This is when it gets good here. We told you to sit Carson Wentz. Very controversial at the time, but oh man, we did not know what we were in for.
That's
Carson
incredible.
Wentz only put up 11.1 points. Christian Haggith, I wanted to get some justification for this take, and he gave me a very good answer. He said he thinks he thought that game was gonna be very, very run heavy, and Carson Wentz wasn't gonna use his arm a whole lot in that game, and he was partially correct, but also just the Colts just didn't have it on the day, just plain and simple.
They really didn't, and they gave the Steelers a playoff spot, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's so tough because we look like idiots now because we've been singing the Colts praises since like episode 2.
Yeah. That backfired at the end there. Jonathan Taylor certainly lost himself Offensive Player of the Year and gave it to Cooper Kupp. I honestly thought Kupp was going to win anyways, but it certainly made the argument a lot more easier.
Yep. Moving on, we told you to sit Hollywood Brown. We were right about that. He put up 5.7 points.
Damn right.
The Ravens just, what happened, man? They just collapsed.
Yeah, they were looking good early on. Collapsed.
The losses just and was it Tyler Huntley? Is it Tyron Huntley? Huntley?
Tyler Huntley, and then
I keep forgetting this guy's name, man.
And then that Queen guy.
Yeah, they did okay, but I mean, if Lamar's there, it's obviously a different story.
Yeah.
We told you to sit Jamal Williams, and we were correct about that. He put up 6.2 points. Return of DeAndre Swift certainly helped that. But going forward, that Lions backfield does not look too bad.
Yeah.
Doesn't look too bad whatsoever.
Looks very good.
We told you to sit Mike Gesicki as well. He's been on a downward spiral this season. That continued. He only put up 4.2 points. And we told you to sit Aaron Jones as well. We're counting this as a no decision simply because he didn't play. Yeah. So there you go. Everyone's happy. 4 for 4 in sits, 3 for 5 in starts, 7 for 9 overall. That's pretty good.
And that solidifies us as over 500. I believe we're in the towards the 600-700 range of the year for our starts and sits picks,
which is pretty good.
Yeah,
which is pretty decent. Pretty decent. We're just quickly, we'll go over some big weeks, and we're not going to do the full top five at each position. I'm just going to do the top performer at each position. Top quarterback, week 18, Dak Prescott, 21 for 27, 295 yards, 5 touchdowns.
Wow. That was against the Eagles. Against the Eagles.
All that just for the Cowboys to get bounced in the first round.
It'd be interesting to see because they got.
In all seriousness, though, the Cowboys are a pretty good team. We just
they got
to
a
rip
good
on
game
them.
First round.
Yeah. Top running back week 18 was yours truly, Austin Eckler. Put up 28.9 points. I don't know where I got that 35 from. 64 rushing yards, rushing touchdown, 5 receptions, 35 yards, and a passing touchdown. Just doing Austin Eckler things, being a very good pass catcher. Unfortunately, it was not enough to qualify for the playoffs. We already talked about that.
But it does make that performance did put him over the year as the top leader in total touchdowns in the NFL. He took over Jonathan Taylor. So very happy about that. Great season.
Yep. We're gonna talk about Austin Eckler a little later in the show too. Top wide receivers week 18. Is this like 2016, 2017? What is this? Danny Amendola. Oh my Lord.
Never thought you'd hear that.
32 points, 7 receptions, 113 yards, and a pair of touchdowns. What a day for the veteran.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's not much I never thought we'd say that name this year. There's a lot of names we didn't think we'd say this year, but especially Amendola, who should be like 4 years retired at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Top tight end was Tyler Higbee, 23.5 points.
Oh, he had a great game.
He had 55 yards. A lot of red zone work. 2 touchdowns. Not a lot of passing. Yeah.
He caught an amazing touchdown in that game.
He did. Yeah. Top defense and special teams was the Washington football team. About time their defense showed up after being praised all off season.
Only took the worst possible time. Yep. Going to go Washington. By the way,
sorry, that caught me off guard. I didn't think you laughed that hard there.
No, it was pretty funny and you're also looking at what are they going to be called? People are saying, no Red Wolves, and the people are like, if they're going to be called the Commanders, I'm leaving or something like that. I personally think they should be called the Washington Red Hogs because they had that great offensive line in the 80s called the Hogs that they won 3 Super Bowls with. It just, I don't know. It's kind of a decent name, but
I've also heard Red Tails being.
Yeah, I've heard Red Tails too.
Being thrown around too, but honestly, whatever they pick, it's just going to be wrong. The fan, like half the no, seriously, whatever name they decide on, half the fan base at least is just going to be like, no.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah. Most people were okay with the name Redskins, and it was already controversial when they changed that. It's kind of similar actually to the Cleveland Indians one. I think the Guardians is a horrible I think the Cleveland
Oh, I forgot about that. Oh my
Yeah.
God, that's how irrelevant the MLB is.
I know.
My God.
Yeah, I remember our old shows in high school. If anyone cares, the MLB is still
Yeah.
going.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, I forgot baseball was a sport there. Thanks for
As I'm
reminding me.
wearing a Toledo Mudhens hat. I mean, that's hilarious.
Oh, I thought that looked like a UFT hat for a second. I won't even
It
lie.
kind of does. It's got like a dirty bird on it. This old
Oh
bird.
yeah. Fair
That was
enough.
from the
Fair
trip.
enough.
That was stopped. We actually stopped at Toledo's ballpark on the way down.
Oh yeah.
We dropped it, which is pretty cool. But yeah,
Anyway.
whatever the name is going to be, it's not going to be that great. Okay,
No.
good point. Okay.
That wraps up the big weeks. We will stop blabbing along. Now it's time for the bulk of the show. Now, Ty, you can take it away here a little bit.
Let's do it. We're flying. So I'm gonna start off with the top 5, and you can do the bottom 5. Let's go over the top 10 fantasy players of the year. This is not our opinion. This is statistics. This is in PPR leagues who scored the most points. Number 1, Cooper Kupp, and this one, I mean, we predicted, I think, that this would happen or finish like this around week 6, maybe week 5, week 6. I remember saying that Cooper Kupp was going to finish, and he did. We have Josh Allen, Buffalo. What a year for Josh Allen. Great year for Josh Allen. He said
no Pro Bowl, though.
No Pro Bowl. That he's a snub. You know, isn't the Pro Bowl. Justin Herbert, who finished 3rd. I'm very proud of that. My QB finishing 3rd. He's the starter of the Pro Bowl. That's at least something. I mean, okay, I'll take it. Tom Brady at number 4. What a year for Tom Brady. Amazing year. In my opinion, MVP this year. And number 5, Patrick Mahomes.
Number 6, lower than you expect on this list, actually. Jonathan Taylor. What a season for him. Regardless of that week 18 game against Jacksonville. Just unbelievable. Week in, week out. This guy was so reliable in your lineups. And he got off to a rocky start too. Like, at least with Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp was really, really strong the whole season.
He was getting 30 points in week 1 and 2.
Yeah. Whereas Jonathan Taylor was not. And then all of a sudden he just really started to kick up.
Yeah. You take him out of that Colts team, they have a losing record by far, and it's not even close.
Well, I remember I saw a TikTok after the Colts lost, and it was like Carson Wentz if he had a mediocre O-line and no Jonathan Taylor, and it was like someone flipping burgers at McDonald's. I'm like, oh my God.
It's true though.
Jeez.
Oh my God.
They just love ripping on Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Number 7, Matt Stafford. Great season for him.
Yeah.
I guess you could say it was worth however many picks they gave up.
I would say.
I mean, I will say now, it's only worth it if they don't get bounced in the first round.
Yeah, and they got Arizona in the first round. We'll talk about that.
Tough matchup.
Very tough matchup.
But yeah, I mean, we can talk about that later. Number 8, Devontae Adams. Holy smokes. This guy was insane this year. Yeah. First wide receiver that we've mentioned on this list. Number 9, yours truly, Austin Eckler. The Chargers have 2 players on this list. Pretty crazy.
Only team with 2 players on the list.
No, the Rams with Stafford and Kupp, but that's okay.
Oh crap. Never mind. Both LA teams. LA.
So, yeah.
LA is 4.
They both play in this in SoFi, so it's okay.
SoFi Stadium, that does it.
And number 10, this guy might be one of the best picks you could have made in your fantasy draft. Yep. Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, this guy was going in the 7th, 8th round. Some leagues.
What a season.
Yeah, he was.
What a season.
Unreal. Absolutely unreal. So that's the top 10. Pretty good top 10.
Yeah. Should we go to MVP and least VP next?
Yeah,
I like the least VP is funny.
Okay, we're gonna go to the LVP award, the Toilet Bowl award, the Bum of the League award, and this one goes to Baker Mayfield. This is not only, in my opinion, this is translated to actual football as well, but in fantasy football for sure. This guy was probably between like an 8th to 10th round pick in some leagues, maybe a waiver wire for some others. But there's a lot of
he was a backup quarterback for sure.
Yeah, but like if you were in a deeper league, or you drafted your quarterback really late, Baker Mayfield was probably the guy for you. And you thought he was going to do well. Why do you think he was going to do well? Because he was on a team who had some weapons. I mean, he has some good tight ends in that team.
The Browns made the playoffs the year before too. Like,
exactly.
And they almost beat Kansas City.
Exactly. They almost made the AFC Championship. Yeah.
They almost beat Kansas City. Yeah.
They have a good defense, really good defense too. So they have complementary football. And Baker was just not good this year. He was really not good. He only had one game above 20 points on a good team. So that's why we're putting Baker on this list. That's why he's our least valuable player. Kind of a crappy year. Loch, who is our MVP of the season?
Oh man. We kind of Christian and I kind of went back and forth a little bit on this last week. But we're giving it to Cooper Kupp. This guy was simply just an absolute robot. 439 and a half PPR fantasy points. That's crazy. Not one game under 11 points. And only 3 games below 20.
Yeah.
Below 20.
That is absolutely ridiculous.
Now, okay. I'm going to throw an even crazier thing at you guys here. Cooper Kupp was 85 yards away from breaking Megatron's 2012 record. And Megatron did it in one less game and while playing in Detroit. So I just gotta throw that out there.
With the same quarterback though. We did.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that until just now with the same quarterback. That's actually pretty cool. Yeah. Wow.
Again, I'm not disrespecting Cooper Kupp. I just am further immortalizing Megatron. That's all I'm doing.
For sure. And I don't know actually that year when Megatron said it, if he won the receiving Triple Crown. I'm not sure, but I should know that as a football fan. But Cooper Kupp did win the Triple Crown and he had a phenomenal season. Great season. Let's go with our top 3 underperformers of the year. Obviously Baker is on there too, but this is besides Baker Mayfield. So I'm gonna go 1, Loch goes 2, and then I'll go 3. Number 3 is Samuel Darnold of the Carolina Panthers. He only had 170 fantasy points on the year. He did have some injuries, but he started off 3-0 in Carolina. You have so many weapons on that team. Take Christian McCaffrey out, you still have Chuba Hubbard, who's great out of the backfield. You have Robbie Anderson. You have DJ Moore. That Zylstra guy, whatever the hell his name is. He's not that bad. Your defense,
and obviously, then adding McCaffrey in there, and then sure. that mid-season signing of Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah, Stephon Gilmore.
After you already robbed the Jags of CJ Henderson, and as well, who do they have? No, they don't have Surtain. Do they have Surtain? No,
they have Burns. No. They have Jeremy Chin. They have a lot.
Who they draft last year? Why am I blank?
Jeremy Chin.
Yes.
Yeah. And he is a freaking great player. He's such a physical.
The Panthers were looking so good.
Yeah. So especially good when they started 3-0, even though it was against 3 bad teams. But Darnold had a bad year he was just never the same. After that first 3 games and went downhill from there with weapons on his team. Yeah. That's the biggest point.
You also know it's bad when Cam Newton takes your starting job after being released from the Patriots.
Not wonderful.
Not great. Not ideal. Next on our underperforming list is again our boy Canadian. Unfortunately, Chase Claypool. I chalked this up to just Deontay Johnson.
Deontay was honestly this year. Big Ben was not great this year.
Yeah, but honestly, I think that Deontay Johnson's dominance down the stretch really kind of cemented Claypool as a third option almost.
No, that's fair. And their offense was different this year. You're right. Deontay Johnson, huge part of that. You had Najee Harris, who last year you had James Conner. This year you have Najee Harris, who's a great runner, great young runner. You added Pat Freiermuth in there, who started catching touchdowns and taking away red zone targets.
But he's a beauty.
I love that guy. So it really took away from Claypool. We were talking before the show. We didn't even know that Claypool was this bad, so to speak, or this underperforming this year when we looked at the list. I was kind of surprised to see him there, to be honest, because last year he was an easy starter on fantasy teams.
Yeah, well, we haven't said his name a whole lot other than for him celebrating a first down with 20 seconds to go and wasting clock. That's the only time we talked about it, really. Yeah. But it's okay. Ty, why don't you give us number 1?
Yeah, number 1, someone we've talked about a lot this year, but not for a good reason. It's Brandon Ayuk. He had 170 fantasy points on the year. He did pick it up, to some extent in the last 5 games. However, he was just no one expected him to be that bad.
No.
Like he didn't just have an
And
off year. He had a terrible year compared to
it
what
was it's crazy because Ayuk's what a second year. This is his second year in the league, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, bit of a sophomore slump. We'll see what he has because he's for sure a talented wide receiver.
Yeah,
and obviously ASU product. Gotta respect it. But I mean, even the shocking thing for me about Ayuk this year was even with George Kittle out, he still didn't get much.
I know. And I don't know why he wasn't being
production.
used more in the offense. But
yeah,
I mean, I guess it's worked out for the 49ers because they're in a playoff spot.
Yeah,
but
I don't know. I mean, because to me, he seemed like a pretty obvious option. Like after the season Deebo Samuel had in 2020 and the season Ayuk had in 2020, you're like, okay, well, Ayuk's going to be the new number one in town. Like it's just gonna happen that way. But then obviously Deebo and we'll talk about Deebo in a little bit as well.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in a moment. But yeah, you can go. You know what? We'll do a bit of a joint one here because we had a bit of conflicting opinions on this. Mine was partially biased. Why don't you say who you're? We're going to go to overperformers now. Our top 3 overperformers. We're going to do top 4 because Lachlan, you mentioned someone before the show. I'm sure beloved to your team. Let's hear him because I honestly think he deserves to be on this list.
So do you want to?
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one player that we think should be added to our 3 that we're going to mention in a second is
we'll say tied for third. We'll say tied.
I guess yeah. Well, we'll give him that. Is Cordell Patterson, because as many of you know, I'm a Falcons fan. Obviously, wearing a Bills jersey doesn't help the case for that, but that's okay.
You can't be wearing a Falcons jersey right now.
No, it's playoff week, man. Come on.
For sure.
But Cordell Patterson coming into the season, no one, not even the Falcons, really had much of a plan. And I mean, I thought he was just going to be, their main kind of kick returner, maybe backup running back, maybe take some reps at receiver, but probably not. And obviously that's before Calvin Ridley left the team for personal reasons. But like the receiving core with Ridley was looking pretty good because they had Ridley, Russell Gage, Kyle Pitts, and they had Zacchaeus in there, and then they had Mike Davis, who they signed, and Mike Davis was really excited about coming to Atlanta. He was going to be their power back, kind of similar to what Devonta Freeman was for them in like the 2014 to 2017, 2018 days, right?
Yeah.
It was looking good, and then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, Cordell Patterson just has an absolute career season for no reason at all. He just was all of a sudden doing it all, both at running back and at wide receiver, just getting touchdowns left, right, and center, and being the Falcons' main guy that they were looking to in games. Like their main target was not Kyle Pitts down the latter stretch of the season. It was Cordell Patterson all day long.
Yeah, and he was phenomenal. He finished statistically as a top 50 fantasy player in PPR leagues, scored over 230 points, which for someone who we barely expected to maybe crack 100. I mean, he just did wonderful. And he was scoring. Yeah. He wasn't just scoring touchdowns. He was scoring athletic touchdowns. He was catching contested balls for touchdowns. He was running the Falcons for touchdowns. Yeah.
He was. If it wasn't for his play, the Falcons record would not be as good as it turned out to be. I'll say that. I guess the other player that's tied for third is your quarterback, yours truly, Justin Herbert. And I mean, this is one that people are probably going to be a bit confused by, but Herbert wasn't projected to be within the top 5 in quarterback outputs. Top 10. Yeah. People were really, I guess, I don't want to say, I guess, like preying on his downfall.
Yeah, like they
were expecting a sophomore slump because, albeit he had a fantastic rookie season.
He did have a great
rookie season.
And you were expecting that sophomore slump, like we mentioned for Ayuk, but Herbert goes out, he passes for over he scores over 40 total touchdowns. He gets over 5,000 yards. He breaks the Chargers single season record into to respective categories, and he was just great. He's on this list not because people didn't think he was going to be good, but because he way overachieved
and because he took a big step from his senior year in college to the end of his rookie season in the NFL. He learned a lot, had a lot of lessons. Also, shout out Chargers team doctor for giving him his first career start.
Taylor, I'm so sorry. Had to happen though.
But he took another 1 or 2 steps up from where he was this time last year to now.
For sure. 3 years, 3 different offensive schemes.
It's crazy.
And he did. I'm so proud of him. And named a Pro Bowl starter over Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, like all these other guys. Joe Burrow was the same draft class. A lot of people forget that. Yeah. And Herbert's playing better than him. However, Burrow's in the playoffs right now.
Now,
so good for him.
Now, the Pro Bowl is starting to become less and less like relevant, though.
Yeah, sure, less
because it's less and like the picks are just starting to be less and less credible. Like I'll give you an example. How is Buffalo rated the number 1 defense in the NFL, but they have 0 Pro Bowl picks on their defense?
Yeah,
like explain that. You can't exactly. The Pro Bowl is just becoming a popularity contest. It's too bad. It's really too bad.
Yeah, because you have people like some of the picks were so quick. Like, to be honest, I'll say Keenan Allen was named a Pro Bowler. I'm very happy about that. But he was a one charger. Actually, I thought that maybe shouldn't have been a Pro Bowler. However,
Keenan Allen, you could have gotten maybe a little bit more from Keenan Allen. Now, in fairness, though, teams were scheming a lot differently against Keenan Allen than they had been in the past.
He still had 100 receptions, over 100 yards, multiple
opened up a lot for Mike Williams.
Yeah.
So in turn, you get a lot of positive team gain from that. But
like Deontay Johnson didn't make it. And in my opinion, he should have made it. Joe Mixon made it. In my opinion, this next guy on our list, who was our second overperformer of the year, should have made it. And that's Austin Eckler. As we mentioned before, he led the league in total touchdowns. He had well over 1,000 yards from scrimmage. He was, in my opinion, a top 3 running back this year in the NFL.
Yeah.
In terms of dynamic play, performance.
Yeah.
He was just so impressive. He's the all-around back. He scored 343 fantasy points this year, and he finished 9th. He finished 2nd amongst all running backs, only 2nd to Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, and I mean, what did we say in the post-draft episode of the Fantasy Cast? Christian, you and Christian were talking, and you guys are like, "Yeah, I wouldn't be." I forget which one of you said it. He's like, "Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Austin Eckler by the end of the year is like a top 2 running back," and that's exactly PPR fantasy wise. That's exactly what he is. You can obviously debate real NFL football wise if he is that, which that's not for me to decide.
Sure. You could say like pure running back, like actual running back position. Maybe not top 3, but
he's more of a pass. He's always been more of a pass catcher though.
Yeah, so. You put in the receiving, and he had a phenomenal year, and the touchdowns.
Yeah, he's dynamic. And
who's our number 1?
Yeah, our number 1 overperformer is Deebo Samuel. Man, oh my God, was I glad that I picked this guy in like the 8th round? Holy man, like. What a turnaround. Deebo Samuel became one of the most dynamic players, period.
Yeah.
Dynamic offensive players in the league. Because I remember I listed off this stat earlier, like mid-season, when he was really taking a lot of reps at running back and getting a ton of points on both sides of the ball. Or I guess both sides of the ball is in receiving and running.
Yeah.
Because when he was taking reps at running back at one point, the 49ers were averaging 8 yards a play, which was 2.6 yards more than the leading overall leaders, which were the Dallas Cowboys. So Deebo Samuel just added a whole nother dynamic to that 49ers offense that no one really saw coming, because you never know where Deebo was going to line up. Like sometimes Deebo was just like, they'd motion him into the backfield and then he just, runs up the gut for 7 yards. And then next time he catches a 25-yard pass. Like this guy really just did it all this season, and no one expected it. He put up 338 fantasy points. That's crazy.
Yeah.
One of the top wideouts. He cracked our top 10 list as well.
Yep.
And if there was anyone on the 49ers before the season that you thought would be in the top 10 overall in PPR, you'd probably say George Kittle or Ayuk.
Or at least lot closer than Deebo Samuel.
Or you could be ambitious and you could have said Trey Sermon, but that really would not have worked out well for you.
No, not in your favor whatsoever. But yeah, and that honestly for us kind of concludes our fantasy football season. We looked at that's basically it for our fantasy football portion. We're gonna maybe have a guest on a bit later, someone who actually won our fantasy league. We're still gonna talk about fantasy football, but not as in depth as we did. And it was an absolute pleasure for this entire year talking about it. It was so much fun. I can't believe it's over.
This season was so crazy too. Like, how many times did we just say random names? Like, it was getting bad too. Like, it, and again, we kept saying this over and over. Like, the waiver wire picks are just gonna get worse. Just gonna get worse.
Those are getting ugly. Like, we were right about quite a few of them.
Yeah.
But like looking back, like Jeremy McNichols, like what the hell has that guy done this year? Absolutely nothing. That
was a big fat mistake. I lost a week. I lost a week of fantasy football. Nichols. I took a flyer on this guy after Derrick Henry got hurt.
Yeah.
By the way, he could be back this week. Speaking of Derrick Henry, he could be back.
It could be like Cam Akers is back. Like Cam Akers is
oh my god
for the Rams, which is really cool.
Whoa.
Yeah. I don't know if Henry's back this week, but like if the Titans win,
I think they're gonna
back in the playoffs.
They're gonna push for him to be back.
Yeah.
And that would easily push them over the edge to be one of the most dangerous teams.
Yeah. I felt so bad for Henry because literally 4, 5, 6 weeks after he was injured, he was still like second or third in the NFL in rushing.
Oh my god, that guy would have broken.
I thought he got 2K again. I thought he was going to get 2,000 yards again. I really
he would have easily done it. He would have walked his way to 2,000 yards, man.
Yeah, in my opinion, he's edging in. If he gets one more 2,000-yard season, top 5 back in NFL history, which is really cool. But let's go on to NFL playoffs now, Lachlan, because this is going to be what a lot of our upcoming episodes are going to be about. We're going to talk about NFL playoffs, a bit more about the NFL in general. Like, this podcast hasn't just been a fantasy football podcast. We talked about just the game of football.
Oh yeah, we talk about football. So regular football.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. So what we're going to do, we're briefly just going to go over each game, give our thoughts on what might happen and what teams need to do to win. And we're also going to give our prediction as to who's going to win. I'm going to be marking it down. We're going to go over that next week and see how it goes down. Really cool because I love how the NFL did this year, in my opinion. They got Saturday games, they got Sunday games, but they also have the first ever Monday Night Football playoff game, which is really cool.
Electric. That's going to be electric.
And it's a really good game as well. So let's start off here. First of all, we have Las Vegas, who beat out the Chargers, of course, facing Cincinnati. This is a very interesting game. Loch, what's your take on this one? And who do you have winning?
Winning. I mean, I gotta stick with Cincinnati. As much as I feel like Derek Carr might have an experience factor a little bit. Obviously being older, he might be less mistake prone than Joe Burrow might be. Because the playoffs are they're a different animal altogether. And you saw that with Josh Allen against Houston, his first playoff game. Like, watching those highlights now, it's atrocious. Like some of the stuff that he was doing. And it's just the pressure of playoff football, right? But I still think that Cincinnati has enough weapons. The train's been rolling for long enough now that, what's one more week? This fan base has been over the moon all season. And this has been a really, really, really big year for the fans and for the city, especially because there were some dark days in Cincinnati. Really, really, really dark days. Obviously after they made that one wild card appearance, but after that, it hasn't been too much to look forward to. And finally they have something. And I think the city is really going to rally around, and I think they're going to make it a tough atmosphere for Vegas to play in. And I think Vegas just doesn't quite have the offensive weapons. Darren Waller, yeah, sure, but he wasn't tremendous over the latter portion of the season. They kind of found other ways to win, I'd say. Vegas did. But I don't know. I'm still sticking with Cincinnati.
And that's definitely a good pick, respectable pick. Like you said, I think Paul Brown's team is going to be buzzing. They're so excited for this game. I'm actually going to pick the Raiders in this one, which I didn't think I was going to do originally. But the more I played through my head, I like it. I'll tell you why I like it. if you look how they played the Chargers game, the Raiders were clearly winning for the first, even going into the fourth quarter. They were like just dominating the Chargers defensively rather, because they played them so well. Herbert's a very good quarterback in the sense that he's patient. He does not take the deep shot if he doesn't need to, but he wasn't even given that option that game because the Raiders played it so well. And Cincinnati's very similar to the Chargers in the sense that they have a good running back, dynamic running back, but they have a great pass attack and a good quarterback. And I think that if the Raiders eliminate the big plays, they will beat Cincinnati. And in my opinion, they will. They're going to make Joe Burrow not have to throw the long ball. And if you take away that option, you take away the 400-yard passing games that Joe Burrow's been having, you give yourself a chance to win. I think Carr's ready. I think Carr's excited. Those are like my keys to the game. If Cincinnati needs to win, they need to have those big plays, but they need to also be able to run the ball. And honestly, this might be one of those moments where Raiders regret drafting or not drafting an offensive lineman, because I sincerely think that Max Crosby will have at least 2 sacks in this game. I think he's going to take over.
He's an animal, dude. He's an animal.
He's good.
An animal.
You got so many pressures on Herbert.
But I mean, Burrow's fairly mobile, and as well, I mean, I just feel like this Bengals receiving core though has been too strong down the stretch. Like, you know, you have T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Tyler Boyd. You know, three very good receivers, I'd say.
Yeah.
Anyone so you take away a deep option for Jamar Chase, you're still left with another 2, plus then Mixon if they also wanted to add him in there. But
no, that's true. Like they still,
this is going to be one of the more interesting matchups, I'd say, because this is one that is a toss up.
Yeah, I think this will be a lot closer than people anticipate to be.
It'll be really
Cincinnati
close.
Is the favorite. I think Vegas is going to win. Let's go into our second one here. We have your Jersey's sake. We have New England and Buffalo playing on that other Saturday slot. I'll say my prediction first. I think the Bills are going to win this game. Hopefully, knock on wood. I'm not just saying that because Bills are like a secondary team, and obviously, like my grandfather's a huge Bills fan. But I think that they're going to do a lot of things right. I think, like you said, Josh Allen, he's had that horrible game in the past against Houston. He made it to the AFC Championship game last year. I think he's ready for this game. I think he's ready because I don't think New England is strong enough, especially considering that the Bills just beat them a couple of weeks back. And it was a pretty good win. I think Buffalo is going to be able to run the ball decently, and that's all they need to do. They need to have some kind of run game. Singletary's been hot. I think Singletary will continue to do that. I think Josh Allen is going to be forced to run this game, and that's something that obviously always helps the Bills, is when Josh Allen takes off and starts running. And I think that you're going to be able to have a decent pass game in there with your elite offensive threats. So I think Buffalo will win this by between 7 to 10 points towards the end of the game.
It'll be tight. Here, I also think the Bills are going to win. One, it is looking like on Saturday it will be in the negatives, Fahrenheit, with wind chill at Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park. The Bills traditionally have been a cold weather team. Obviously, the Pats have played in cold weather as well. Mac Jones, his first career NFL playoff game, there's a lot of added pressure. Mac Jones, I give him all the credit in the world. He's played some very big football games over the past couple seasons, very big games himself. But this is a different season for the Bills because they are far more battle tested than they were last year. Far more.
Experience helps in the NFL.
They faced a lot of adversity this season, from tough home losses to that kick in the nuts Monday nighter loss to the Patriots when Mac Jones threw like 3 passes.
And you throw in Tre'Davious White getting injured.
Yes, I was just about to mention Trey White getting injured, out for the season. A real emotional leader on the defensive side. That he's gone. Big players,
arguably the best player over the last 3 years, 4 years.
But the Bills battle tested, and you mentioned Josh Allen running, that is perfectly within his comfort zone. So if Josh Allen is forced to take off for yards in the slide, he will do that any day of the week.
Yeah.
And as well, New England, since that unfortunate timing of that bye week, they just have not looked the same.
That's true. We mentioned
they need
you
to
were the one
turn it
who
around.
first said that. You were the one who first said that. So kudos to you. This is a horrible time for a bye week. It
Terrible.
was a bad time.
They were on what, like a 6-game win streak?
Yeah.
7-game win streak?
Yeah. They were extremely hot, and then they cooled down. That being said, they still are a good team, so I still think it'll be a close one.
It'll be a close game for sure. It'll be an entertaining game. Bills Mafia will turn up for that one. Night game at Highmark Stadium.
Should be electric.
If
New England wants to win, they have to remain calm. Mac Jones has to be efficient. They have to contain Josh Allen.
They've got to weather if New England wants a shot, they've got to weather the storm early.
Yeah, for sure. And you want to obviously take Stephon Diggs out of the passing game, which means JC Jackson's going to have to nearly be perfect. That's our prediction. Both of us going Buffalo there. Who do you got between Philadelphia and Tampa Bay? This isn't much of a question, but who do you have?
I got the Buccaneers.
Oh, what a surprise.
The Buccaneers and Brady. I mean, they re-signed every starter on their Super Bowl roster from last year. Like, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't you put them, back in the Super Bowl again? And I mean, they're obviously not going to take Philadelphia very lightly. Philadelphia is a much weaker team. They overperformed a little bit to compared to, their roster. Hurts has played some big football games himself, but I just think that the Eagles are just going to get a little bit paralyzed in this game and just get a little too caught up in the moment of playing Brady in Tampa. And I just think the Buccaneers are just going to do their thing and walk right over Philly, to be honest with you.
I completely agree. Great synopsis there. This is a 1:00 game. This is one that the NFL scheduled, I think, because they know that Tampa Bay is probably going to run through them. This is, in my opinion, an easy Tampa Bay win, 2 to 3 score performance. You never know. Philly might come out hot at the beginning, but even if they do, Brady and that team in general is experienced enough that they're going to take over the game for sure. Brady just has too many weapons out there. He's the MVP of the NFL, in my humble opinion. And like you kind of alluded to, Lachlan, Philadelphia is just not ready to win. Like, Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. In my opinion, they have a bright future, but they're not ready to win just yet. Both of us going Tampa Bay there. Very interesting one here.
Oh, yeah.
49ers and Dallas. This is going back to that 80s and 90s where they had that great rivalry. Troy Aikman and Joe Montana and Steve Young, Jerry Rice, Deion Sanders on both teams, Emmitt Smith. This is classic rivalry, and this is the start of a new chapter of a rivalry between these two teams. I'll go first here. In my opinion, this is very close. This comes down to it. I think Dallas is going to end up winning in the end, just because I feel like they have a good enough O-line, great enough passing attack. I think Dak Prescott is ready to win. They're ready to take on that pass rush. That's one thing that the 49ers have going for them is Deebo Samuel and the pass rush. I think Dallas is going to edge them out. They are at home. AT&T, I think is the biggest stadium in the NFL. And certainly,
you're right. I think you're right.
You're
right. Yeah.
Second most expensive stadium. I think it's going to be a really good game. I think Dallas is going to win.
I'm gonna go with the opposite here. I've got the Niners by a close margin. The Cowboys had the easiest schedule in the league. The fact that they fell this low in the seedings, a little bit worrisome. A little worrisome. Not battle tested whatsoever. Haven't faced a whole lot of adversity other than losing games you maybe shouldn't have lost mid-season. Zeke is on the downslope. They're going to go pass heavy. I think that the Niners are going to blitz occasionally, but not too much, because I think they're going to really respect the passing game and the receiving core of the Cowboys, and they're going to play them, and they're just going to let Nick Bosa kind of go to work, and he's going to lead a 4-man rush most of the time. And I think they're going to try and force Dak to either get Zeke going or find open men downfield when they drop 7. As well, I'm a big proponent of Kyle Shanahan. I think Kyle Shanahan will flat out coach Mike McCarthy in this game.
I could see that happening.
I
just
think
they got better
Kyle
players than
Shanahan, that guy is a friggin' genius. Did wonders with so many players, including Matt Ryan in his MVP season. I've said all that to you before, though. Yeah, I just think that this 49ers team has too much going for them. They've played so many tough games. Their division is not easy. They've played so many tough games this season. I think they have, I guess, what it takes to beat the Cowboys. Because I mean, the Niners have to regularly face the Rams and the Cardinals. Like those are three great teams right there, right? Like
two of the best in the NFL.
And
you have a great point. Like adversity, certainly.
It's gonna be close. It's gonna be close.
It will be closer than people would expect, in my opinion. Even though Dallas are the favorites, I think, like I said, I think they're gonna come out on top. But great point there. I think the Niners will get there, just not this year. Next game, we got a Sunday night football game, Kansas City versus Pittsburgh. Who do you got in this one?
I got Kansas City in this game. Kansas City's been a little bit less in the spotlight than usual, considering their roster and considering actually how good their team was this season.
Yeah.
Ever since they recovered from that rocky start, the spotlight's just kind of been off them, and they've just kind of been doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And playing well. I think, though, Pittsburgh's going to make a big mistake in this game by trying to blitz a lot on Kansas City, with TJ Watt spearheading that attack. I think Pittsburgh is going to make a mistake by blitzing quite a lot. And we know what the Chiefs do when they get blitzed. Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce are in one-on-one coverage. Mahomes just lobs to an area, and it's just easy yards, not to mention how good Clyde Edwards-Helaire can be when just running straight up the gut in your face. I think Kansas City's got it all on both sides of the ball. They've been rolling latter half of the season. They've really figured it out, and they've really figured out, I think Andy Reid has as well, and Mahomes and the rest of the Chiefs offense have really figured out how to play against two different defensive schemes, because they saw a lot of blitzing before. And then this season, they were one of the least blitzed teams, if not the least blitzed team in the league. They have adapted, and they can play against both schemes. So I think that makes them really, really dangerous. But I think Pittsburgh's going to go a little too heavy on the blitz and try and take advantage of, maybe getting TJ Watt some extra sacks.
Great points. I'm with you all the way. Kansas City should win this one, no problem. However, I'm going to just give a quick thing, my opinion on what Pittsburgh needs to do if they were going to pull off a miracle win. They need to do three things. Number one, you have to do what the Chargers did in week 2 of the NFL. You have to take out Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce of the equation. That is
somehow take them away.
You don't let Patrick Mahomes beat you with those two guys out there. You let a running back beat you, or you let a third string receiver beat you. You let Pringle
let Edwards-Helaire beat you.
Yeah, you don't
let Tyreek Hill beat you
or Travis Kelce. Those are the two you have to take out. That is the biggest by far. That's the majority of the yards right there. That's number one. Easier said than done, of course. Number two, like you said, you mentioned blitzing. I don't think you can blitz this team because even though you're right, they did adapt to it. Mahomes is significantly worse when he is a non-blitz quarterback versus blitz quarterback.
Yep.
He's a blitz quarterback. He's the best quarterback in the NFL. Justin Herbert's up there too, actually, statistically. I just want to slide that in there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You have to stop. You can't blitz him that much this game. You let TJ Watt take over and do his thing because he is so much better. And, Creed Humphrey won't have to deal with him, who's on that O-line. You put him towards, he's on the outside, of course. It's great there. And the third point, to be able to actually beat Kansas City, which is very unlikely, you have to have a very efficient offensive game. This means I think you have to have over 100 total yards from Najee Harris himself. Big Ben can't be throwing deep pass. That's not his thing. You have to be very good on timing passes. Timing passes is a keyword to Deontay Johnson. You want short underneath stuff, especially in the red zone. Flip passes to people like Pat Freiermuth and Claypool, more aggressive catches towards the number, outside the numbers and sideline. If Kansas City was to pull if Pittsburgh was to pull off a miracle win versus Kansas City, even Big Ben himself would be like, you just kind of have to go out there and have fun. We know that we're a very heavily underdog. This may be his last game ever. My opinion, that's what you have to do to beat that team. Moving on to our final segment or point here in the fantasy cast, this episode at least. Monday Night Football. It's going to be the Los Angeles Rams versus the Arizona Cardinals. Probably the most heavily contested game that we've mentioned so far.
God.
What is actually, you know what? Sorry, you went last time. I'll go first this
Yeah.
time, and you can end off the episode. This one is a very close one. On paper. That being said, I don't think it'll be that close towards the end of the game. I think the Rams will win this one closer to the 2-score mark. I think by 7 points at least minimum, as much as 14. I think this because they're a team that's ready to win. Stafford is so good. He has a lot of experience, not necessarily a lot of playoff experience, but he has a lot of experience in important games. Cooper Kupp, best player in the NFL, arguably. Definitely at his position right now, wide receiver. They have so many weapons. We've seen that Higbee, like last week, just went out and have a big game. They have so many players that can do stuff. Cam Akers is back. We mentioned that, and Darrell Henderson. And they have a good O-line. And their defense is phenomenal. With Jalen Ramsey, shutdown corner. You have Aaron Donald, who's a guaranteed Hall of Famer, best defensive player in the NFL for the last 5 years. So it's in my opinion, that'll take them over the edge towards the third and fourth quarter. If Arizona want to win, you have to get away from Aaron Donald. That's basically your game plan right there. Get away from Aaron Donald. You have to utilize the matchup that's not over Jalen Ramsey. So this means we'd have to see a lot of AJ Green, and Kyler would have to have a good game rushing on the ground. Those were the keys in my opinion. But like I said, I think the Rams will win this one.
I agree with you. And this is tough because I could really see a big game from Edmonds and Connor, with D-Hop being taken out of the equation. I could really see them being like, especially James Conner. I could see James Conner catching a bunch of passes from Kyler and Edmonds carrying the majority of the workload in the running game.
Yeah.
But this is going to be a game for Kyler Murray that's going to be similar to Josh Allen's first playoff game.
Sure.
He's going to have a good game. He's going to make mistakes, but this is gonna help him so much. This game and this, I don't know. I think this is gonna help Kyler Murray advance his career and gain much needed experience, and shift the culture a little bit in Arizona for this not just to be a one-off fluke season, because a lot of people were questioning them down the stretch. Like they were losing some games and they were questioning that 7-0 start. And obviously the Cardinals are a good team. You don't make the playoffs by accident or I guess maybe you do, but I just think that this game is going to be so crucial for Kyler Murray's development, and he's going to learn a lot of things in this game. And again, the Rams, when they want to, they can beat any team in the NFL.
Yeah.
They have the talent. Sean McVay's a genius. Right? Like Stafford is so ready. I feel like OBJ is just going to be so hungry in this game. Cooper Kupp's going to do his thing. The defense is going to lock it down. Ramsey's going to turn up. And I think the Cardinals might be up a score at halftime, but I agree with you. The Rams will probably win this by 2 scores.
Yeah. And that concludes this episode pretty much.
Wow.
Very excited to watch some NFL super wild card weekends, what they're calling it, just that Monday night game. Very exciting, even though our second team, the Bills are in it, but Falcons and Chargers nowhere to be found. Maybe next year.
All good.
Hopefully. Yeah, but what is this, by the way? Is this episode 19?
19.
Episode 20?
Yeah.
Okay, episode
19.
Yeah. So yeah, that concludes this episode. Make sure to watch that football. Very exciting. Yeah. Congratulations on great or terrible fantasy years. To all.
Hopefully, you didn't finish last. Hopefully,
you don't got to do that Waffle House challenge because.
Did you see that? Did you see the ones earlier that were posted to like our fantasy group chat?
Oh yeah. Our group chat is and I'm sure many of you have a great fantasy group chat, but ours is phenomenal for a lot of reasons. It's a lot of good stuff.
Shout out.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully none of you guys lost the league, but that's episode 19. Anything on you to say, Loch?
No, I just wrapping up this episode. This is probably one of our longest episodes, so if you're still with us, thank you.
It was supposed to be one of our shortest, actually.
Yeah, but we
had good conversations.
Yeah, we had some really, really engaging conversations, I'd say. Again, enjoy the weekend. Enjoy Super Wild Card weekend. Go Bills. God, I'm so excited for that game.
Go Bills.
Jeez. This is wrapped up episode number 19 of the Fantasy Cast. I promise they won't all be this long because they haven't all been this long. So, yeah. Enjoy Super Wildcard weekend, guys. We'll see you back again. Thanks so much.